Welcome back, everybody, to the Theory of Three. We are back with James Kientzy again, and we're going to talk a little bit about knowing your worth. And more importantly, we're going to start off with talking about some of our worst experiences. Well, not necessarily some of our worst experiences, but some of our beginning experiences in the industry, where we started, some of the bad rates that we got, some of the, the problems. We worked with, the problems we ran into. So, James, if you would mind starting.
Oh, man. Well, I have a few embarrassing situations, but I guess if we're going to start with the worst time, I was such a newbie. It was my first time on set ever in Georgia. And so I was actually just supposed to be, just a normal extra at the time, first time ever on set. And so the director picked me and said, hey, we want you to actually be upgraded to like a hero role. Okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I have no idea what it means, but hero sounds cool. And I was thinking, it's going to be like a superhero role, totally not what it means. And so they're like, they gave me so many different times, that's fine. So I believe it was like, I'd show up in Alpharetta, which was only like a 30-minute drive from where I was staying. Okay. And supposed to be there at 7. I think I woke up at like 8:30 a.m. And so my first time on set when I was supposed to be, this upgraded role without even, knowing what it was, but knowing it was good. I slept in because I couldn't sleep all night, and I was just, just so nervous and just anxious of the unknown being my first time. Yeah. And just slept right through my alarm. And then, heartbreaking. It was actually hard because I always think to myself, okay, what could that have been? Yeah. But it ended up being fine because I was still upgraded, but it could have been a lot more.
So what looks did you get when you walked on set?
Well, the casting director, the lead was like just shaking his head, and I was like, yeah, this ain't good. I'm going to get blacklisted right off the bat, But thankfully they were like, okay, we realize you're from St. Louis. This is... was
that a silent diss?
Yeah, kind of.
Wow. It's like, you know what? You're from St. Louis.
You're not from around here.
Yeah, you guys are, hey, time changes.
Right,
we understand.
Shots fired.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, thankfully they had at least a kind heart and realized that this is my first time. I didn't know any better. Even though, obviously, whatever you do in any business, don't be late. But they didn't blacklist me. They let me still be on set. And then at least some good came from that film that we did later on.
Good. But yeah, I mean, there have been plenty of times like on set where I remember first starting out that I mean, after you go a couple of days in, like, for example, on a feature film, you kind of get in the rhythm, right, of how things are supposed to happen. Yeah. I remember the first time that we did a project, and I believe it was where they had bought pizza for the third night in a row.
Oh, my God.
So, So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I can't eat pizza to this day.
Yeah, same. So we did this project. I won't name names, but we did this project where the producer said, hey, I'm buying everybody pizza, and bought pizza that night. Everybody's like, oh, this will be fun. It was fun. There was some, they had soda, pizza, snacks, some brownies, whatever.
Calories.
Yeah. Day 2 rolls around, and this is like in the middle of the shoot. Day 2 rolls around, and, oh yeah, we're going to have pizza again for lunch. And then dinner. And then the next morning they brought like bagels.
Pizza bites for breakfast.
And then and then it was just like, well, what do we do the next day? So they brought like salad and then pizzas. And I think at that point everybody on set was just like pretty much like, bleh. But I don't think people realize just how disgusting it is to eat the same food back to back on set, which is why sets usually have a mandatory like massive routine. Like they don't even eat the same thing during the 1 week. Right. And it's primarily because like I got so sick of pizza, man. I can't smell pizza on set now. Like, I'll go eat some if I have to, or if that's what they offer. Yeah. But, like, I can only eat it once, and that's it. Because, like, I get sick to my stomach just thinking about it. It was 100-and-something degree heat outside. You're always sweating, and then they want to give you hot pizza to eat in the middle of the day.
Talking about a way to demoralize your crew.
Not only demoralizing, but just, like, it's so unethical. Because, like, there's no version of that that's good for your crew. Yeah. Yeah, so when it comes to food, like every single time I go on a set now, I judge like 90% of I'd say about 50% of the entire production on how crafty is. Yeah. I legitimately do, because if I show up and there's coffee, hot coffee for me, there's cold drinks on ice, I might add, bagels, muffins, like, and here's the big kicker, fruit. They've got apples, oranges, bananas, like all the basic, like real fruit, dude. Like I'm all in. That's a good set. But it's funny how those are like that early memory specifically has. And I was just sitting there thinking about it, like, God, that changed my entire like career outlook. Yeah. Because if they have good food, like even if I'm just an AC, for example, if I show up on set as an AC and I don't see any crafting, I'm like, boy, this is gonna be a bad day. This is gonna suck.
Yeah, I think one of my first experiences, and it wasn't my first on set, but it was definitely probably my second or third time. We were shooting for like a week, and I was a volunteer on the shoot, but it was such long days. I think we did 22 hours one day and 21 hours the next day, and had like 3 hours of sleep or something like that.
What?
Yeah, and we were in a hospital, and we shot that long, but I think one of the first times I laughed so hard I almost died laughing inside. We were sitting all around the table, and there was probably 6 or 7 of us around. And I don't want to give too much details because people of the that was a part of this might be listening. But what happened is that there were some ladies. There was probably 6 or 7 of them around this table. I'm sitting at the table with a couple other guys, and the father figure. And during the dinner, he crop dusts the room.
My gosh.
And it wasn't a like quiet. It was the loudest.
Silent. Oh.
It was the loudest I've ever heard. And to this day, it's the loudest. And no
sound effect.
Yeah, and no one batted an eye. The family didn't do a damn thing. His wife didn't even smirk. She just kept eating. I'm like,
oh my!
And I'm looking around the table, and I'm like, no. The guys that are with me, that are part of the crew, that I feel like we all stopped eating and like started looking at each other like, what's more polite here? To laugh at the guy for doing this? His family's not showing any emotion.
Somebody acknowledge this.
Yeah, someone acknowledges. One of the daughters, please laugh. Something.
Right.
No one said. They just kept eating and talking like nothing happened. And like, I'm dying. I'm dying on the inside. Our family, it's very prevalent. If someone does something like that, everyone laughs and gives them crap about it. No one did a damn thing. I'm dying inside. Like almost hemorrhaging. I was putting a napkin over my face, trying not to laugh. I didn't want to be disrespectful. I'm in their house, But I died.
Like your worst nightmares where you start laughing. They're like, "How dare you make fun of him? That is his." That is his gas. Yes. Don't you dare.
But it was like it was one of those things. It wasn't. I couldn't believe that no one recognized it. No one said it. It was like it was an occurrence that always happened.
It must have occurred so often that nobody.
No one said it.
That's insane.
I just it killed me. It literally killed me. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, some of the people you meet on these sets are so iconic and like
oh
eccentric.
My goodness
it's kind
gracious.
of bizarre.
Yeah.
Just they have their own like you never forget them. That's one of the big things as well in the industry because it's such a selective group of people. It's not like you work in a restaurant and they have a high turnover rate and you never no because when you're stuck on set and everybody that works in the industry will know this, you become family. Like it only takes a couple of days and you become a family. You become good friends
or more.
Yeah, or more. Like in James' case. Anyway, and in that situation you become more than family multiple times. I find it interesting because there are people that I've met in the industry that I still to this day remember like moments from and we were only around it for a couple of days and it's still like iconic to me, like phrases and things that happened and things that people said and just all the wild crazy things that go on in the middle of a production, and then you meet these iconic people that are pretty much stuck with your history at that point. Like you never forget who they are. They do shape and make how you enjoy the set, because I know people have had horrible experiences with individuals that turned them off from film in general.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously in our situation, even though we've met a lot of bad people, a lot of shady people,
there's always been good people.
The good people
right
that are there.
Them.
Yep, exactly.
Some of the best people we've worked with.
Yep, best people I've ever known.
Yeah,
have been in the film industry. So
and the longer the duration of the set, the more closer or the closer
it feels
the crew
like.
get
Yeah,
together.
it definitely feels like.
Yeah.
I think one of the first times that I think we were all on set, wasn't it? It was like the first feature we kind of did together. That was such an interesting shoot. I remember that so vividly. I drove, I think you went down the week before.
Yep.
I drove a truck and trailer down there. It was like a 16-hour drive by myself, which was fun. I think you drove the last 10 miles to our place where we stayed. But yeah, it's such an adventure. And when we started out, that was crazy. I don't know. I don't even think we worked maybe for minimum. I don't even think we worked for minimum. I think we worked for like $4 a day.
It was
Yeah, it was
$5.20 some odd cents a day.
Yeah. But like we got gear rental and things like that. But like that was such a But
it was such a horrible.
It was such. It was
It
such
was a learning experience. Like you talk about a learning curve.
I crave.
Yeah.
I to be this day. I crave how much information, how much I grew that time.
Oh yeah,
throughout that time.
I went from, right before the shoot, I bought three things. I bought 2 recorders with 2 inputs each, and then I bought a mixer, and then I bought a bunch of cables. And instead of nowadays, I think if you meet any audio engineer, he has like a 1 recorder. They run in, they're all ISOs, and they individually record. Well, that shoot, I would direct input line into a mixer, then direct output line, and sometimes mix lines because I didn't have enough inputs, and then I'd left stereo track and right stereo track, and then tell post to split it down the middle and make it mono tracks. And so to make my ISOs, and that is humble beginnings right there.
Yeah.
At least you didn't show up late and miss a huge opportunity.
Oh, here's mine. Is I don't know if it was a case of narcolepsy, but I would, in between takes and setups, I would just sleep.
This ain't about the truth.
I would sleep, and somebody would, like the PA would have to come back and wake me up, and I would be at a cart like awesome. Across the building, so I wouldn't. I mean, I had a walkie and I'd just hear what's going on, but sometimes
you would fall asleep.
I would go asleep
before every take. Like they would have to wake Philip up again. Like it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, but no, dude. I think you know what the worst feeling is. Oh, dude. Talk about bad feelings. You work a hard 12-hour day.
Yeah.
You wrap out at 14.
Yep.
It's been 109 degrees outside. You go home, you pass out, and you wake up 5 minutes before call time. While you're on set, you haven't showered, you haven't even changed clothes, and you have to climb back into the same nasty ass clothes and go back onto set.
You done that before, James?
Dude, that is the most disgusting thing.
Yeah, I mean,
your
it bypasses.
Jeans feel like
dude, it feels like
liquid.
it's like you sneezed. It like snot all over your crotch and down your leg.
It's like
you get them in there like up in your waist. You're
no. What I don't like, it's like if you pick up your jeans and they still retain the same form as they were on the floor, just a little bit stretched, you're gonna have a bad time.
Dude, one of the first times that we did a shoot, I remember we were in Texas and we were staying at this guy's house, and it was the dead of winter in Texas, which isn't as bad as here, but it was cold, 40, 30 degrees at night.
Wind, dude,
40
the
something.
wind.
Yeah, the wind was fierce. But we stayed in this like separate addition from the house. And the whole week we were there, no warm water.
Yeah.
No hot water.
No hot water.
Yeah.
So
cold showers.
It was cold showers.
Yep. Wow.
All week. And like you'd work a solid 12 hours. Come home
in the cold.
In the cold, in the dust, in the sand, and it would be all over you. And there's no way you're sleeping with that. So you
had to climb into the cold shower.
Climb into the stupid cold shower. You had to lather yourself up in soap. You couldn't just do the pits and the hair. You had to do everything. Then you just stand there and scream because it's like
frigid cold water. Like out sitting outside in the cold type of tank water.
Oh, it was so bad.
And that was the shoot. I think that was one of the first shoots, and I was either a PA or a Wrangle PA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That was just brutal.
Dude.
Brutal.
Brutal. Real hardcore. Like that's legitimate. No, dude, it was so cold. You know what was cool though is that on those cold days, one of the best things was when lunch, when everybody broke for lunch, and you had to like eat those warm bowls of soup.
Yeah.
Or like those what are those Mexican fajitas?
They had good food.
Dude, it was made by like authentic.
Was great.
Oh my god, it was so good.
A question for James: what's the weirdest thing a director's ever asked you to do? Besides what, outside, let's not talk about.
Well, beside what you convinced them to do.
Yes.
Right.
Let's get these PG-13.
Right. I mean, can I say anything about when you guys have directed me?
Absolutely.
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 No. Man, what's the weirdest thing a director?
Dude, I just totally forgot. So not to cut in on your story.
Go for it.
He broke his toe.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh yes.
He broke his toe. So we did a project back in May of 2018.
Yeah.
And it was based around the brand Nike, and we had him out there kicking soccer balls barefoot. And there's a whole storyline behind it. I think we even have the project up online still.
But the problem was he kept sitting out before he kicked the ball.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, dude, hit the ball, will you? So finally,
Okay, hold on. Let's
now
clear-
we're
let's
getting
clear
somewhere.
the air
Now we're
there.
getting somewhere.
No. That's not how it. That's fair.
I think you're just still salty. We pulled a joke on it before the podcast, and we all said that we pissed in a bottle that he was drinking it. And he tripped out, dude. He was ready to fight. Oh.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He kept missing the ball, kicking the soccer. 2, we couldn't get him to do any tricks. Like, he couldn't bounce it on his foot,
I'm about to
knees. You gotta defend yourself here. This is just gonna keep going here.
Hey. Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like and so finally you had to pull him aside, tell him, hey, you know, we're paying you enough on this shoot. You know, I don't understand. Like, what do we need to get you? You know, a cheerleader, something.
Did you at least have any of your Coke this morning?
Yes.
Like,
Right.
Do you need like
Xanax,
do you need
anything?
Some Xanax? Like, what do you need?
Gosh.
But you know, he pulled through like a champ. You know,
Yeah, he did.
didn't say a damn thing until what 2 or 3 weeks after the shoot, after we shot, and he was like, "Yeah, I broke my toe, by the way." We're like, wait,
dude, no.
my heart
oh.
sank so far.
We had him run down a sidewalk or down the middle of the street in a pair of socks with a broken. Oh, dude, I'm still so mad at you that you never.
And then we
said
had to
anything.
hike.
Yeah.
And
Oh god,
Yes,
that was kind of rough.
Yeah.
Hiking
And
and stepping
bare
on
feet.
rocks and
Bare
stuff
feet.
with a broken toe. I was like, oh.
Which one was worse? Stepping on rocks with a broken toe or crawling up the set of stairs in a prison?
Oh my god.
Which one was worse?
Oh goodness. That's hard because the broken toe obviously lasted a lot longer to
Yeah.
heal. But man, golly, pulling yourself up on and just scraping the heck out of your knees on these metal staircases.
Yeah.
It was just brutal.
I remember-
and then Austin, let's do it again. Let's do it again. All right, take your time, relax, but we're gonna do it again. Like, oh,
I remember we did it probably like 4 times, and I was like, you know what? Here, this is what we want you to do, and I acted out what I wanted him to do, and I'm like, I got 2 stairs up, I'm like, shh. This is rough. And I turned to him like, dude, I'm so sorry, but let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. I'm so sorry, but we gotta go.
Yeah, that's why we pay you.
Oh man. But no.
All right, guys. No. Trust me, man. It's the martini. All right, cut. Sorry, I meant that was the Ebby singer. So now it was martini.
Yes.
Let's go.
Oh man. No, that's and he doesn't say anything. It's not like, you know what, I'm not doing it. He'll do it. Then it's probably a week later we'll sit down at coffee and he'll just give all the time.
Yeah.
Look, he'll just pull his shirt up, look at all the red marks that are on his chest. I'm like, what's that from? He's like, it was from you making me crawl up the stairs. Like, oh man.
Battle wounds, man.
Battle wounds.
Battle wounds.
But dude, I feel like that's some of the good, really good
So-
content. That shoot did really well.
Yeah. So, James.
Director,
Yes.
what's the weirdest thing the directors ever asked you? Besides us, I guess.
You know, so honestly, so far the directors I've worked with, nothing I could say has been weird per se, or different, or awkward.
What about the one that you were telling me that? Maybe just make something up.
I guess if anything,
Yeah. What would be the strangest? How about that?
I
Like the
would
most
say
bizarre.
the strangest things I've had to done is, or had to do. I'm sorry, is on Shameless. There's a scene where we had to like take a stunt car and come in front of the lead, and during the shot while we're moving, I had to take a full thing of soda and just dump it straight on one of the lead actors. And so doing that take after take and just feeling so sorry for this kid,
Yeah.
you know, that I'm just pelting him with this soda and ice, and each take he has to get new makeup, new everything.
Wow.
He was in actually a pirate costume, so he had to keep getting redone
man.
over and over and over. So that took forever. But that was kind of cool because one, it was kind of different, but then, you know, they let me kind of like, he calls me a certain name after I do that because I was being a jerk.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they let me like flip him off or whatever just because it flew with the scene and stuff. So it was crazy. And then when I actually watched the scene on TV, they added some dialogue, and I forgot exactly what it says, but I cuss him out as well. But it's some voiceover that's not even me.
Really?
But all you see is all you hear is me cuss him out, and then you see my hand come out the window flipping him off. So I was like, you think that's me?
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
But that was good.
Yeah, I need to see this episode. I need to see this now. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'll
have
send
to
it
see
to you.
Yeah,
That'd
please
be
do.
dope. That'd be dope. But yeah, it's some of the craziest things that happen on set, especially when you're working with crazy people in a sense of crazy shoots, But it's fun, There's stories that are to be had there, I think recently, and I don't want to talk about it because I feel like we've talked about that in previous episodes. But yeah, some of our first features are some of the wildest ones.
Yeah.
For
Has
sure.
there ever been any awkward times?
As
Oh
in-
God.
Yes. Very. Especially as a sound guy.
I bet.
You've got to set mics in some places that some people just don't want you to be.
I
you know?
Yes.
So,
Dang.
Have you ever been chewed out by a director, a producer, a casting agency, a casting director?
There was the only time I've ever been like chewed out per se is when we were doing stunts for a Disney movie, and when we were doing rehearsals, the main director didn't like how I was hitting the guy or the timing of it or whatnot, and he just let me have it.
Really?
And I mean, I felt like I was back playing, college baseball, college football. Like it was horrible. Like he did not hold back. He was cussing at me, and we're all like looking around like, this is a Disney set. There's child stars all over. Like, calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
We're all like professionals here. Just
Tone it down.
tone it down. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
it the next time. But
Yeah, man.
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever been, except by an AD, and I feel like I've told that story before.
there's been multiple ADs, I
Yeah.
think. And I think ADs kind of carry that stigma, which is,
It's kind of their job, though.
it's kind of their job. And so I don't hold it against them at all.
Yeah.
So, what about worth? That's a big deal. In terms of payment, when we're doing a project or anybody's doing a project,
Yeah.
how do you hold up to maintaining your day rate or knowing what your worth
Maintaining day rate. If
Maintaining-
I don't get paid, I am stealing the hell out of Crafty, and I'm taking it home. That's how I get my money
is?
worth.
How do you...
He comes with a box, and he just starts filling up the box from Crafty.
Oh, dude. The stories you wouldn't believe. with Crafty.
Let's do it. We're on a podcast. Let's tell him. Let's come on now.
Oh, goodness.
But how do you guys maintain your day rate in terms of pitching, in terms of accepting contracts and numbers? Do you guys try to stick with a certain number? Do you pitch a certain number? What happens when they say you can't have
Or
X number?
I feel like they never say you can't have this number. They either say, well, can we do this? You know what I mean? And or can we cut it in half or something like that. I want to jump back to that question. I want to hear what what your stories are. If that was true on the idea of Crafty.
Oh, Crafty. Oh, man.
How much have you splurged or taken from Crafty?
I remember I was on a Netflix set for I think 2 weeks, and by the end of the week, I literally had a big Yeti full of Crafty treats. I kid you, like the lid could not close.
Oh my God.
Because I had so much Crafty treats.
Wow.
Where did you hide that thing?
I always on set. I always have a
Backpack.
my backpack that I have like my personal stuff, and so then like
You would take 2, save 1.
yeah,
Wow.
and
And
it
that
just
was-
added up for 2 weeks.
That happened about 3 times a day, probably.
Oh, probably
6.
More than that.
Probably a little more. I don't
10.
feel proud of it, but
Yeah, you do. Look at the smirk on your face right now.
Okay.
Guys, I wish
The
you could
audience
see
can't
this.
see
I
you,
wish
but
you
we
could see
can
this.
see you. I
We
thought
can
he's like,
see
they're
you.
not going to know. They don't know.
They
can't
don't
see.
They don't know.
know. He has a good heart. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
We hope.
We hope. Yeah.
But no, back to your question. I think in some sense more it's all about negotiation and just and I think telling people no a lot of the time. If a lot of people said no 90% of the time and they took the other 10%, I think, people are like, "Oh, maybe he knows what he's doing."
But it hurts
You know?
the industry.
But
Does it?
yes, it hurts the industry, and I think there's a lot of things to say when it comes to just overall rates. I think in the different regions, different countries, or not countries, more like states, different industries where local
Chicago, Atlanta,
especially
New York,
LA,
LA.
those things.
St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly. Those are all different places and different
They have different budgets attached to
expectations.
them. Yep.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between
Quality,
commercial-
quantity,
there's-
and
commercial and feature film
And
rates
narrative,
as well. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like we've been approached by companies before and said, hey, what do would you do it for this rate? Which it's like $400-$500 way below what we would even charge. And I was like, wait, where are you getting those numbers? And they're like,
Yeah.
well, it's narrative, and they're like, we're not doing narrative. This is commercial rates. Like that's
Yeah.
the whole point,
Yeah.
I know Miami.
because commercial is massively different. And
Exactly.
there
Commercial-
is something though
yeah.
that the difference between the commercial realm comparative to the short film feature narrative side.
Yep.
The narrative side is massively negotiable. And it's usually something they say. You notice that? Like when they send a crew
Yeah.
call, it's like, hey, this is how much we're paying in AC. This is how much we're paying the DP. Like on the commercial side, it's like, hey, this is what we want. Then you set the price. Because it's like your day rate. You're like, hey, this is how much I am a day.
Or they'll ask. Yeah. They don't.
Yeah.
They never
And
really.
I think the difference between commercial or narrative work or feature film rates is feature film rates are a lot lower
Tend
because
to be lower.
it's consistent work for consecutive days.
You're being promised X amount
right.
of days. Yeah.
And commercial, you're working three days
3
to
days.
2 days,
7
2 to 3
days
days,
max.
Yeah.
For a project or 3 projects in total.
You might be working 2
You
weeks
know.
out of the month.
Yeah.
And those two, the other 2 weeks that you're not working, that needs to be the money that you're making on the other commercial work is what drives it. I know Miami is a big place for commercial work, and they charge the wazoo because it's all commercial. They barely do any narrative stuff down there.
Nope.
And it
DPs
is
down
what it
there
is.
get $1,500, $2,000 a
Yeah,
day.
same thing. It depends on what you're doing.
And I
or
think
where
it's
you
also sometimes a little different for actors, and especially like new actors like myself. So for me, a few weeks ago, there was a commercial that I did, and they wanted, they offered $650, and for I can't remember. It was like a year or 2 buyout. I think it was like a year buyout, and then second year is like 50% of the rate, and then
Okay.
third year was like, 40% or so. It just went down, as the years went on. But for me, at my point, yes, I can take that, what I would consider a lower rate for the buyout.
Sure.
For let's just say a 3-year buyout, $650. That's nothing compared to other commercials.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to take in consideration my resume. Okay, yes, will this benefit me? Yes, $650 will benefit me, but also can I put it on the resume and will it look good and add benefit in the long run? So there's multiple aspects. It's not just monetary.
Yeah.
At least for an actor. You guys.
You can't put a price on the kind of projects you do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's more looking at the opportunity, not the monetary gain. The opportunity when it's presented itself. Same thing for here. Like how much
We struggle the same way.
How much would we give to have to be on set with Michael, Steven Spielberg or Peter Jackson? You know what I mean? Like who wouldn't be
Dude, I take
alongside-
$200 a day.
Exactly.
I take $100 a day.
Just to have,
Right.
I wouldn't be doing it for a personal. I wouldn't even be doing it for monetary gain, and I wouldn't be doing it for a the quote unquote say it is.
I'd
I want to
doing
be
it
there
for-
just to have his experience rub off on me, and that's.
I'm there for me. Like
Exactly. I
That
wanna
because it's a
learn.
little different. Because here, I don't care who else sees it. I don't care if anybody ever knows that. I just got to be there. I have to be
Exactly.
there. It's like the mentorship thing.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And I think for us, and especially when we were shooting, and even our company, I don't think anybody ever asked for my resume anymore. They're just like, oh yeah, I see either one. I think Instagram gives it away when you scroll down your feed and you're like, oh man, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or it's never. Oh, what do you guys, or how good you are you guys? I think the content speaks for itself, or the content goes before you.
Plus, your demo reel is pretty sick.
Well,
Let's just say.
well, but here's the thing: the
appreciate
only
that.
reason it's sick is there's 80% of it's James.
Yeah.
And
True.
That's exactly what I said.
well, I knew why you said it. That's why I said. That's why I made sure what I said. I know you. But I have to agree with what they've been saying before is it depends on the experience, the monetary gain. I think one of our directors has said that before, where there's 3 different things that you have to have within a project. It's either money, it's the people you're working with,
Or the exposure.
experience, or the experience or the exposure
Yeah.
you're looking for.
So it's either the exposure you get out of it, the people you're working with, or the monetary gain. You should always have one
of
two.
those 3.
You should always have two of those
Two
three.
of the 3. Okay.
So
of
if
the 3.
you're working with the people you like the exposure, do it. If you're working with you like the exposure and you like the money, then do it. If you like the people and the money, but exposure is not really because it's not really your
What
brand,
if it's
then
just
do
the
it.
money and you don't like, say, I mean, obviously, if it's gonna pay you a lot,
It's
exposure's
gonna
probably
have
gonna
exposure.
come hand in hand. So
Yeah.
that was irrelevant.
Those are going to come
But
hand in
if-
hand. But in some
here's what-
situations, like you don't want that kind of exposure.
Wait,
So, for example, if it's like, well, remember the gig that you and I did a couple of weeks ago when they approached me and they were like, "Hey, look, we want to shoot you and like 6 other women and like 2 dudes." Like it was just kind of, well, it's not really my gig, but
But it pays well.
It pays well.
You don't want it to go on the
And it was
resume.
a comfy couch.
You don't want it to go on. Yeah. You
Oh,
don't want
that's
to go.
what we shot on, so obviously.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want it to go on the resume, and you don't want it to be, you don't want to really work with those people again.
Right.
But the money's there.
The money's there. So
it's-
sometimes the money alone is worth
is speaking. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was looking at you, waiting for you to
You
end,
knew.
hoping I would be the one to bring it up, and you were like, and then you started getting that smirk on your face.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but he's gonna bring it
All
up.
right, here it comes.
Yeah, here it comes. I was waiting for
I
it.
knew it.
But yeah,
Not the first time he's heard that. Anyway, as I said,
here it comes.
Laura's just like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Mom! No, so in reality, though, I think it's like highly important that each of us in like our own right, for example, whatever you end up choosing to do work-wise, and for whatever reason you end up choosing. So I think the reason why that 3-rule kind of concept is so important is that each one of those steps, if there are 2 of them, it's going to be beneficial on multiple levels. It's not just like a single thought concept. It isn't just a one deal hit off. If you get 2 of those 3 steps, like the certain director that we're talking about, you walk away with it with a sense of like, here's the big thing, a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because if you do a project that you absolutely hate, you don't like the people, the money's bad, but you're doing it for just exposure, you're never going to enjoy yourself.
Yep.
If you're doing it for just the money and you hate the people and you hate what the content's for, then like you're miserable. And if you're doing it, and here's the biggest thing, if you're doing it for the people and the money's bad and the exposure's bad,
You might as well just
you
quit.
start building grudges against the individual.
Or you start to doubt
true.
the industry or why you started.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
and you're like,
that's,
am I just doing this for people now? Is that like the only reason why?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good-
I'm
it's
not
a-
getting paid much. And you start holding it against them. I've felt that way before. So it's kind of having 2 of those things is like, it's just a good golden rule to go by.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%
But
agree.
yeah.
100%
Yeah.
agree.
Well, thank you everybody for joining. You can follow us on anywhere you can find podcasts. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a rating if you would be so kind. And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Peace.